Welcome everyone to QuantBox Chennai Grandmasters 2025. On your screen is the most entertaining player of this tournament till now, Grandmaster Vidit Gujrathi. It's a pity he has only scored half a point out of 2, but he will be looking for his first win here. His opponent Nihal Sarin has not yet come, so Vidit starts the clock and will make his first move. This, dear friends, is the ambit recap of the day. Vidit opens the game with 1d4, and this is a move that he also played against Jordan Van Forest, and he's waiting for his opponent. Nihal arrives a few seconds late to the game, puts his bottle on the side. Nihal Sarin also on half a point out of 2, had an amazing game against Anish Giri in the previous round. And look at Nihal there taking his time. His clock is ticking down, but he's not in a hurry. He takes his chair. And yes, there we are, ready to rock and roll. Nihal Sarin has been playing pretty good chess against Vincent in round 1. He had his chances for a draw, but he lost it. And then against Anish, he was totally winning, but he botched it up. So here, for him also, this is a very important game. Actually, both these players would love to perform well in this game so that their tournament goes well. Now, Nihal adjusts his pieces, and let's see what he plays. He goes d5. And Vidit goes for the Queen's Gambit with c4. And Nihal Sarin plays the Queen's Gambit declined with e6. The knight comes out to c3, putting pressure on the center. And now the main move is knight f6 here. But Nihal goes knight c6, already a step in slightly offbeat direction. He gets up. With its time, you can see is 131, but he plays this move after a minute of thought, knight to f3. And Nihal is now, maybe he could go knight f6, but look at the move he plays. He goes a6, again offbeat stuff. And Vidit pushes his pawn, but he took 27 minutes for this move. Very interesting. He pushed his pawn to c5. And bishop comes out to e7. Now, if Vidit goes bishop f4, maybe he wants to play g5, which is the reason why Vidit goes pawn to g3. Now, why do I consider c5 to be an inspired decision? Because you've taken away the tension from the center, you've gained space, and I think that's very important and interesting what Vidit has done in the opening. Bishop f4 played. He has 47 minutes. Nihal's opening idea seems to have worked because he's gotten a big time lead here. Castles. And now Vidit most likely will fianchetto his bishop g2. And yes, he plays bishop to g2. And b6 seems like the most natural way to go here. But Nihal plays in the center. He plays knight to e4. Pawn comes up to h4, stopping all g5 plans. And very interesting how this game is building up, because it's quite possible that we had a very well-known simple dry position, but I think Nihal is not in that mood in this tournament. He wants to play new stuff, offbeat stuff. f6 played by him. He is looking for e5 at some point. Vidit goes rook to c1. Vidit also not really committing his king to g1. One thing about Nihal's position, if you look closely, is that it's a bit cramped. And that's the reason why He plays bishop d7. I think he wants to go bishop e8, put his bishop on g6 or h5, and pawn to a3 with the idea of playing b4. And now bishop e8. The game is getting super exciting here. I believe pushing the pawn to h5 makes a lot of sense. Yes, he does. Pawn to h5 played. And king h8. And here b4. Vidit pushes his pawn to b4, gains space. And the thing now that has happened is, because the pawn is on h5, white king will not be able to castle anymore. But Vidit is okay with it. He goes queen d3. He's attacking the e4 knight. There's pressure here on b6 and c5. So pressure is mounting. He takes on c3. And maybe now rook takes c3 or queen takes c3. Both seem okay. He takes it with the rook. Pawn takes pawn. And now pawn takes pawn, comes back. Rook comes to b8. Now the rook is very actively placed on the open file here. And he plays his rook to b3. You know, the rook stands off against each other. And Nihal Sarin pushes his pawn to a5. Vidit now plays his queen to b1, but look at the time on the clock. Vidit has only 17 minutes. Nihal has 36 minutes. Takes, queen takes. And now white does seem to have more space here. Nihal plays his queen to c8. He stopped the white queen from entering here. And I like Vidit's next move, king f1. He wants to play bishop h3 and king g2. Pawn push to a4, attacking the queen here on b3. If you take the pawn, he may want to go e5 so that later he can take here and attack the queen. So instead, Vidit goes queen e3 and Nihal comes in with knight to a5. He's coming into c4. Bishop goes to h3. Now love this move, attacking the pawn on e6. Nihal Sarin defends it with bishop to d7. And king goes up to g2. Plays his king to g2. And now knight comes into c4. He goes queen to d3. Just simply keeping the queen on a good square here. And bishop e8 played. The bishop is looking at the h5 pawn here again. And Vidit plays knight d2. You know what was a great move? Bishop c7, queen c7, bishop e6. With the ideas of knight h4, knight g6. That was insane tactic there. But of course, easy to miss. Knight d2, he goes back. Queen e3 played. Again attacking the e6 pawn. He goes bishop to d7. And Vidit goes queen to c3. You can see this maneuvering struggle. The struggle for space. Knight to c6. Both players calmly playing back and forth. Knight goes to f3. Again a nice move, keeping the e5 square under control. King g8 played. And rook to b1, taking the open b file. And here Nihal can unleash himself with the move g5. already. That seems interesting, but he goes rook f7. He would like to do g5 next move, so Vidit can stop it with queen c2. But Vidit goes instead queen b2 here. He doesn't go to c2. He puts his queen on b2 square. And Nihal now gets his pawn rolling. G5 move. That's a good move. H takes g6. H takes g6. The position is now sharpening up. Black does have certain possibilities with g5, f5, g4. Queen comes to c2, attacking the pawn on g6. And pawn to g5. Pushes, bishop goes back to d2. And here rook to g7 played. He wants to push the pawn to g4. Bishop to g4 played, blocking the pawn. And pawn comes up to f5. Bishop h5 played, trying to take control of this diagonal. Pawn to g4. And the knight goes to e5. Sitting in the center, attacking, trying to take, pawn takes, and now bishop c6, a very strong move because you want to attack the queen. Nihal finds it, and all of a sudden Nihal Sarin is in a great position. Vidit blocks it with the move f3. But now you will see rook h7 is super strong, but he goes pawn to d4. And this is not a great move because now queen c4 is coming in. I think Vidit Gujrathi will find this move, queen to c4. And he plays it. Queen comes up to c4. And bishop d5, he takes here and plays queen d8. Instead of this, queen a8 was much better, threatening to take here. But queen d8, his idea is bishop f3 and winning the queen. But I believe Vidit will be ready for this. He'll simply move his king to f2. And he plays it, king to f2. The position has once again equalized. And Nihal goes queen f8. Very smart. He wants to take this pawn. And Vidit Gujrathi now can defend the pawn with bishop e3. But he takes the one on a4. Queen takes a4. And Nihal takes the pawn with a check. King comes to g2. Now, if you take bishop a3 here, then there is bishop h6. So you can't take that pawn yet. He goes c6, a huge blunder. He had to play queen away or rook h7. But now there is bishop h6, which is a completely bone crusher here. Nihal has missed a very simple move. I believe he wanted to get his rook to a7 and play in that way. But he goes bishop h6. He pins the rook and the queen. It's a skewer. Such a big miss by Nihal Sarin. One cannot believe that a player like him who's so tactically aware goes wrong in this manner. Ef3. And now just it's game over. You can see with its body language, he already knows he's moving quickly. He knows he's going to win this. Queen takes h6 taken. And with it now, okay, maybe rook b8 check is pretty strong, but he goes queen h4, which is also quite a good move. The best defense for Nihal now is queen g7, king h3 and bishop e7. Nihal thinking a bit, he takes the pawn on a3 And now rook to b7 does the trick actually. It's a very strong move and a winning move here. It's amazing how this game really went in Nihal's favor in the middle game, where he outwitted Vidit, but then in just couple of moves it turned around totally, and now Vidit is once again on the offensive. Rook b7, bishop f8 played. Gives a check, king h8. And queen f6 check. Yes, a good move here. He takes on f6, he takes f6. Everything is in control here. Bishop g6 with the idea of rook h7 and f7 checkmate also possible. King comes up. Well, you can take here, bishop takes e6, but then king g6. So Vidit can also bring his king in. That's what he does. He's trying to get his king here. If you give bishop d6 check, there's king g5, bishop h6, king e5, c5 played, attacking the rook. The rook comes to a7. And now king to h6. Well, the king is coming in slowly and steadily. Yes, gets in. And now bishop takes f3 played. He plays bishop to e6. And now after bishop f5 there is some ideas of mating there. Rook, pawn to c4. He takes the pawn. Vidit now cleaning it up. And you can see with Nihal's body language, he's like totally lost. Vidit is like super sharp, focused. He doesn't want to let this go away. Bishop e6, king g6, rook a1, bishop c5, rook f1, king g5. He takes the pawn. Bishop goes to g2. Now rook to b1, and you have an extra pawn. You are exchange up. Well, it's time to end the game. Yes, Nihal Sarin resigns. Vidit Gujrathi scores a very important win. And what a game this was. And you can see there Nihal is unhappy, yet has that smile on his face. Always kind, always calm, always gentle. For Vidit, that's a big win, because this could actually help him get back in the tournament. He's now on 50% score, while Nihal will be on half a point out of 3. And very importantly, he will face Arjun Erigaisi in round 4. That will be a big one. For now, this is Sagar Shah signing off from the QuantBox Chennai Grandmasters 2025.